Well, hello everyone, and thank you for being here. Our webinar today is called Video, the Secret Weapon for Law Firms and Professional Services. We've got a great panel. You'll meet them in just 1 minute. What I wanted to do right off the top is just explain why this is so important and such a great opportunity. First of all, if you add video to your website, to a web page, you can increase the conversion, the number of leads, the number of calls, chats, or form fills by up to 82%. You can also, by adding video to your website and to your search engine optimization, you can improve and increase the amount of search phrases you come up to by 53%. So the numbers are huge and greatly in favor of video, but probably the most important reason to do it. We've been doing video for all of our clients for many, many years, and I hear this over and over again. Thank you for getting me to do all those videos. I signed a really great case, and she said she watched 7 or 8 of our videos, and she knew I was the attorney for her. And if I've heard it once, I've heard it, a dozen times, that when we put videos on our website, on attorney websites, on other professional services websites, accountants, doctors, and answer clients' questions and use the strategies I talked about earlier by improving conversion, improving SEO, it's like a win-win-win. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So first I'll introduce myself, and I'll do a short presentation, and then you'll meet the all-star panel today. Brian Albert from thelaw.tv is an attorney, and he's also founded 2 video companies. So we'll learn a lot from Brian. Alyssa is with one of the hottest video and legal companies today called Crisp Video. So I look forward to Alyssa's presentation. And Madeline Pollock is a multiple award winner, and she is a real superstar. And what she's going to teach us is how to set up our Zooms. She taught me a lot when I saw her presentation, so I had her to have her on here today. And she'll teach us how to set up our Zooms for all kinds of meetings, business meetings, sales meetings, and also with legal stuff moving online, with hearings and court cases going online. It's super important that you're not like looking down on a judge, looking down at your laptop, and some of the things that Madeline taught me, I know you guys will love. So Madeline will do that, and then as well, don't leave, because she'll be doing one-on-one coaching. If you want her to look at your setup, your Zoom setup, we'll do that at the end of the presentations, at the end of the formal presentations. So without further ado, a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Jay Berkowitz. I wrote the 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing 18 years ago now, and started a business called 10 Golden Rules. I've written a couple other books, speak at all the major conferences in the old days when we had conferences in our industry. Do a lot of Zooms and webinars now. My company is called 10 Golden Rules. We specialize in internet marketing for law firms and professional services companies. We've work with folks all across the country. Stewart & Stewart's having a couple great months. They're based in Carmel and Indianapolis, Greenberg's in New York City, Pankowski's here in Florida. And we've also worked with several other organizations. These are accounting, professional services, and we've worked in the event industry with Tony Robbins and a number of the big event companies. The thing I'm most proud of in our business is the hockey stick. I'm a Canadian, and the hockey stick is obviously critical to playing the game I grew up with. But in business, the hockey stick is represented by a growth, a really dramatic growth in business statistics. And this is the website traffic for one of our clients, where you see the blade of the stick and the shaft of the stick. And the website traffic goes from 2,000, 2,500 into the 8s and 9s and 10,000s. And most importantly, the corresponding leads, which we measure very precisely, calls, form fills, and chats. When people chat and create a lead for the company, the calls, chats, and forms has gone from 20 a month, totally a blade of a stick, and then the shaft of the stick, up to 200 and 300 leads a month. It's spectacular growth, and that's what we're looking for. And that's why you have to apply every single internet marketing strategy that we talk about on these webinars, because if you do everything and you follow the best practices and you apply it on a regular basis, we can get this kind of win. So let me talk just for a couple minutes about why video is so important and some of the different types of videos that we use. The experts you're going to hear from in a minute, we use these experts to produce these videos for our clients. Now, the first one, I like to categorize it, and I always try and make these things simple for myself to understand and also to share it with you. But I call this first video the homepage video, or the why video. And Chris Video did this video for a friend of mine, Gary Solomon in New York. And I call it a why video because it explains why Gary got into law and why the firm got into law. It explains why you should hire them. It incorporates testimonials and explains why they did such a great job for the firm. So essentially, this helps people make a decision. Yes, this is the firm for me. It helps them understand the brand. It helps them understand the firm. And when you're making a decision on something as important as selecting a personal injury law firm, hiring an accountant for your financials, or hiring any kind of business, you're making a decision, and video is a great way to explain who we are, what we do, and why you should consider us and put us on your short list. The next kind of video that's super powerful, and I said this off the top, adding a video to your landing page, specifically a page that's designed to convert a lead, not a research page or an informational page or a homepage. On a landing page, when someone clicks on a paid Google ad and comes to a page, adding a video can increase the conversion over 80%. So you definitely want to do a lot of testing, and a lot of times we test, no video, video on the right, video on the left, and in some cases we've increased the conversion like a crazy amount. Very, very powerful to test video in your paid advertising landing pages. The next kind of video, and we do this all the time on a very regular basis, I just call these SEO videos, or search engine optimization videos. And essentially what we do today, the best practice, we answer questions. I was injured in a motorcycle accident, but I wasn't wearing a helmet. Can I still recover damages? What should I do if the insurance company offers me a check right away? And we try and work with the experts on what are the kind of questions your customers are asking you all the time. And the reason why this is a best practice is because we search differently, right? We ask Siri or we ask Google Voice a question now. And over 50% of searches, by the end of 2020, Google says over 50% of searches are going to include a voice search. And Google's also rewritten their algorithm to understand questions. So if all you do is answer a question once a week on video and drop it on YouTube and then drop it on your website and drop it in your social media, you're search engine optimizing your website in the new, most contemporary way you can. So what we do with these videos is we as I said, we put them on YouTube first and then on the website. Another tactical use of video, and we talked about this in the case study, we did one of these webinars with one of our clients, Scott Silver, and we invented this new thing called the 7-alarm fire drill. And Scott, he sues bad stockbrokers, and when FINRA sues and suspends a stockbroker, Scott puts out one of these videos, and he actually uses the law.tv a lot of times to produce these videos, because the 7-alarm fire drill means we want to be the first person in the marketplace with a blog, a pay-per-click campaign, a press release, saying that we are representing people who've been harmed by this bad stockbroker. And we've used this tactic in many different practice areas for many different businesses. But essentially what it is you're jumping on something new people be searching, and you're positioning yourself on the SEO side and on the pay-per-click side to take advantage of those first searches. So using video, what Brian's going to talk about, he calls these video blogs. Getting these blogs up super quick is very, very helpful. The final thing I'm going to share with you is what I call our cascading content model. And I teased a little bit about this a few minutes ago. But essentially, it's like a river comes to a waterfall, and it spills over the waterfall, and then it creates little streams, little tributaries, little pools of water. And this is a simple model we use, where we put the video first on YouTube, and then we add the video to the website. we will add a description, a unique several hundred words description about the video. Then if we do, what we do a lot of times is we'll sit down with the attorney or with the accountant, and we'll shoot 4 videos. So all they have to do is sit down for 15 or 20 minutes. We'll shoot 4 videos, we'll edit the videos, produce the videos, and each of those videos is to be going out once a week. So the video goes on YouTube, then it goes on the website, it's search engine optimized, and then at the end of the month, we've got 4 little mini blog articles, 4 videos that go out on MailChimp through your email newsletter. So now we've already accomplished 3 or 4 very important things, right? Number 1, we've got videos on YouTube to answer people's questions. Number 2, we've added that video to the website, and all you need to do is copy and paste that code from YouTube to get it on the website, and it'll play on any device, because YouTube's really good at like playing on phones and computers and everything. And then we took those articles and we sent it out as the monthly newsletter. And then here's where the cascading falls down. We also take those and we put them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Very, very valuable and super important. Google My Business. We talked about the importance of getting listed on Google Maps. So updating every week on Google My Business is powerful. And you can even turn it into a little podcast. So I'll show you how we do it. Here's the video for Goldman. Sean, if you're on, thanks for playing along. And here's a video that Glenn Goldman recorded. It goes on YouTube. It goes on the website. We include the words. We search engine optimize. We add the meta tags, and we add all the different SEO components. It goes out as a monthly newsletter, and then it goes on Facebook, and it goes on Twitter. So very, very powerful how that works. Now, the next concept, this is how we do it. So we're recording this webinar today. The webinar will go on YouTube, and then we'll cascade it down. And this is a webinar we did a couple months ago. We'll send out an email newsletter. We'll put it on our blog, on our Facebook, on our Twitter, LinkedIn. Here it is on my personal Facebook and a Facebook group I'm a member of. And so that one video, that one shoot where we sat down and shot 4 videos or 8 videos becomes very, very powerful. In this case, the video we're recording here today, we're using it for video marketing. It's going all throughout all of our content. So quick summary on my piece here. Video is a secret weapon. It's not so secret anymore for law firms and professional services, because the homepage video explains who you are and why someone should select you. Can improve conversion up to 80%. Adding videos to your website improves your SEO, search engine optimization, up to 53% or more improvement by incorporating video in your overall marketing strategy. The 7-alarm fire drill is getting a video produced to support a topic very, very quickly and getting that into the marketplace to address a new opportunity. And finally, the cascading content. This is like, it sounds a little bit complex, but it's like the simplest way to cover off all of your marketing, because you're doing video marketing, you're doing SEO, search engine optimization. When you put the video on YouTube, that helps with your SEO because Google owns YouTube. Then you put the video on your website, you write a description of the video, you're adding content, video content, words content, and then you send the video out as your e-newsletter. So if you do 1 a week, your monthly newsletter contains 4 videos, the simplest baseline type of content. And then you can also drop that video in all your social media. So it works very, very hard for you on your marketing, and we execute all that for our clients. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that. And sorry about that. So, last thought. I will put a link in the chat session. If you'd like to learn all about how we can help you with all this stuff, please go to my link, my Calendly link. And Calendly is this great app. I love it. You've heard me talk about it if you've been on these webinars before. You can click the link, see my calendar, and book a little Zoom meeting. So it automatically sets up an appointment in your calendar, my calendar, and we can have a Zoom meeting and we can talk about how we could get you guys a hockey stick, how we could help with your internet marketing and help with your business. All right, so let's meet our panelists. First up is Brian from the law.tv. And I have a slide for you, Brian, and then I'll give you the slides. As I mentioned, he's a recovering lawyer, attorney, and has been working pretty much professionally in the two video companies called the law.tv and Video Bolt. He went to the University of Miami, and he's actually subbing in for Corey Sabin. And I've known Corey for many years and just got to know Brian and their partners in these video businesses. So thanks for jumping in for us today, Brian. Corey had to go to a funeral. And they have produced over 500,000 videos, which, just think about that. That's awesome. For more than 2,000 law firms. And he also sits on the technology and communications committees for the Florida Bar Association. So with that, we're just going to do a little technical switch over here, and I will hand it off to Brian.
Thanks, Jay. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And it looks like, Jay, I need you to stop sharing. Otherwise, it won't let me start sharing. Perfect.
There you go. Great. I can see your screen.
Okay, and thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks, Jay, for having me. I'm going to talk specifically about video blogs. I'll skip this slide. You already did that. There's three types of videos that lawyers typically do. And Jay, you mentioned them. You've got the About Me, or what you call the Why video. We don't do much of those. There's a lot of great companies, local and national companies, that do those videos. We focus primarily on Q&A videos or FAQ videos, what you're referring to as the SEO videos, those question and answer videos, and video blogs. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to talk specifically about video blogs. We've done the Q&A videos for thousands of law firms. We've done a couple 100,000 of those. That's where you've got the lawyer on camera answering questions about commonly asked legal topics, the types of questions that people are asking. The reason we're focusing on video blogs is because that's something that's more easy for a lawyer to produce at this point, given the shutdown and the pandemic, and the fact that in-person video production is really hard right now. A lot of lawyers don't want to bring production crews into their studio. They don't want to go to a studio. Video blogs, on the other hand, are something that we can produce without any personal interaction with the lawyer. This is what they look like. These are examples of some video blogs. Top left is a law firm in New York. You've got, I believe, a California firm, one in Jerusalem, one in Shanghai. These are a couple of the hundreds of firms that we're doing video blogs for. And what's great about these, you mentioned quick. If you have an idea for something you'd like to get out today, you can have the video tomorrow. You can actually even have it today. We turn these around very quickly. It's to get information, get educational content in front of your potential client base in a professional way. We use professional spokespeople who are on camera. Sometimes we incorporate sound bites from the attorneys that we shoot over Zoom. And we write the scripts typically based on the content that's provided by the lawyer, or sometimes it's just an idea or something related to their practice area. They're all custom branded for the law firms with a unique look and feel that matches that firm's branding. So again, this is what some of them look like. Let's talk about why video blogs. First of all, you can address timely content. So if you have an idea today, again, you can have that video tomorrow. There's no several months of waiting like in a typical production process, or even several weeks. You can think of the idea today and have the video tomorrow. They engage viewers. These videos are on topics that are relevant and of interest to the people who are potentially hiring your law firm. They're great for social media. And Jay, you spoke about the cascading content idea. You can use these videos everywhere. And they're great for social media because they're short, they're to the point, they're timely, and they're topical. They provide you with SEO benefits because, again, these are topics that people are searching for. The production is quick. You can do one video at a time. The challenge for a lot of firms with video production is if you're bringing in a firm to shoot video, or you're going to a studio to shoot video, that's typically the only production you're doing that year, or maybe for a several-year period. So you have to focus on evergreen content, content that will last for a long period of time. With this quick production, you can have an idea today, an idea next week, an idea next month, an idea next year, and continuously churn out videos on those specific topics to keep your audience engaged. And they're affordable. Because of the fact that there's no on-site video shoot required, the price is drastically lower than your typical lawyer video production. And of course, as I mentioned, they're great during a shutdown or a pandemic because everything is produced from the confines of our studio, and we handle all production coordination over the phone or email or Zoom or text or some other remote method. This is an example of a video blog. This is a law firm that we work with that reached out to us and they said, we want to talk about the July 15th tax deadline and the extension and the fact that there's going to be no further extension. This was something that was really important for them to get in front of their audience. They gave us the idea one day, they had the video the next, and then they posted it to their website. They did an email campaign. They put it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
July 15th is right around the corner, and we are still in the thick of this COVID-19 pandemic. But if you thought the Internal Revenue Service might extend the tax filing and payment deadline one more time, think again. Earlier this year, the IRS gave taxpayers a 3-month reprieve, moving the filing and payment deadline from April 15th to July 15th. But despite requests from several organizations to grant an additional extension, the tax agency says no dice. Now, those automatic extensions that give you until October 15th to file paperwork are still available, as they are every year. But make no mistake, the tax folks expect a check on time, so don't delay. If you are cash-strapped, like so many of us during this pandemic, there are payment options and plans. So call a Sarasota tax attorney who can guide you through the process. The last thing you need on top of your tax bill is interest and penalties. Call the law office of Sarasota tax attorney Mary King or visit taxlawyerflorida.com.
And what's great about that video is, again, Mary King gave us the idea one day. She had the video the next. All she needed to do was give us the idea. We produced the video, delivered it to her, and then she was using it everywhere within one day and establishing herself as an authority on this area. And what's also important to note is that it's valuable content. It's educational content. The pitch for the law firm doesn't come until the end. It's providing value to the audience and then saying, and we're here for you to help you if you're in a situation that is addressed in the video. So here's some ideas of what you can do with video blogs. That was an example of what we call newsjacking. That's one very common way to use video blogs. It's what Jay mentioned with the 7-alarm fire drill with Scott Silver. It's taking something in the news and using that as the peg to get people to watch, then sharing some valuable information with them. And then only at the end do you say, and if you have that issue that needs to be addressed, contact the law office of Mary King. You're only doing that at the end. Another way to use video blogs is for firm updates. Maybe you add partners or associates, or you're adding a new office and you want to share it in a video. Great way to do that because, again, it's a quick turnaround time and these are affordable videos. Notable case results. We have a lot of customers who are using these for verdicts or settlements, and they want to share the success stories. Changes in the law. You want to be the expert in your practice area, so by producing content that addresses changes in the law, you're always out there letting your potential customer and your existing client base know that you're the authority on this topic. You can use these videos for community outreach, client testimonials as well. Really anything that you would blog about. That's what's great about this. A lot of firms that do video blogs are already blogging, and they're taking that same content and turning them into video blogs, which are more engaging for the reasons that Jay spoke about earlier, that people are more likely to watch video than to read text online. Here's one more example that I'm going to show you. Again, this is an example of a law firm taking something that is relevant to their potential audience and turning it into a video blog.
The 2020 national election will have a significant impact on how your wealth will be taxed when you die. The generous $11.4 million tax credit could vanish to pay for all of the freebies some politicians are offering. What can you do now to protect yourself against this potential tax bump? Simple. Form a dynasty trust and use your $11.4 million exemption to fund it. So if the laws change, they won't apply to you. But if you later need or want the assets you have already given to the Dynasty Trust, no problem. Meet the HISET Trust. Establish your HISET Trust in one of 19 qualifying states like Nevada or Alaska, and your trustee can be given the power to give you back some or all of the gifted assets when desired. Only your designated beneficiaries may lay claim to the trust's assets, so no need to worry about your children's divorcing spouse or civil lawsuits. You need to pay close attention to what's happening in Washington right now. There are members of Congress who believe the exemption threshold should be lowered dramatically to $3.5 million. Bottom line, you don't want to be caught off guard, so don't wait until next November to act. Meet with your tax advisor and estate planning attorney now. You've worked hard for what you have, and your heirs should not be punished financially after you're gone. For more information, call the Jeffrey Verdon Law.
And the reason why we use professional spokespeople in our videos is because many lawyers, first of all, aren't that good on camera, even though we've done thousands of law firms on camera, but it allows us to turn the videos around more quickly. Lawyers are busy. They can't always jump in the studio. They don't always have access to the studio, but by using the spokespeople, it's a third party telling the story on behalf of the firm. So once you decide to do video, you need to ask yourself two questions. First of all, what do you want to say and who do you want to say it to? Those are the two most important questions you need to ask in developing your law firm's video strategy, because you will not be able to produce or have a company produce effective videos for you or video blogs if you don't know who your audience is and what you need to say to them. Then you need to decide, will I create these videos myself or am I going to hire a professional? We always recommend hiring a professional, whether it's us or another company, just like you do for everything else in your practice. You wouldn't design your own business cards or letterheads or run your own IT network. Everything that you do in your law firm, you hire a professional to do it. Just because your iPhone has a camera and has the ability to shoot video doesn't mean you should be producing video, because a professional will do it better for you and it will be more representative of the professionalism that's expected of your law firm. So quickly, here's a few do's and don'ts of video blogs. First of all, you want to think like a TV network. If you're going to do video blogging, you need to have a plan, develop a series, and maintain a schedule. Video blogs are not something that's one and done. You have to be consistent with it over time. So speaking of being consistent, you want the look and feel, branding, and messaging to be consistent across all video blogs, because again, you're creating a series for your audience. You want to get to the point. Don't bury the lead in the video blog. Just get out there, use that news story as the peg, draw people in, and then explain what the value is to them and why your law firm can help them. Keep your videos engaged and make sure it's polished. You want to keep your videos short, 1 minute or less, especially if the audience is new to you. If this is prospective clients, they don't know who you are, they haven't dealt with your firm, you want to make sure you keep it short, only go longer if necessary. Now, some of the don'ts. First of all, don't get discouraged. Success takes time. You're not going to see the ROI with your first video. Jay showed you the hockey stick. It takes time to reach the peak on the hockey stick, and you need to experiment continuously, test, to make sure that you find the right content mix that's relevant for your audience. And don't let production intimidate you. You shouldn't be producing these videos on your own. You're a lawyer, not a video professional. Video is great if it's done the right way. If it's done by a lawyer with a selfie video on an iPhone with bad lighting, bad audio, and bad framing, it will not represent your firm professionally, and the client will not hire you based on that video. So where should you use your video blogs? The answer is everywhere. Video is not a standalone tool. It's something that can make everything else you're doing online more powerful. Jay showed you some of the statistics of how important video is to your website and your social media presence. You should be using video on your website, YouTube, social media, landing pages, and email campaigns. Everywhere where you have a presence online, you let that content cascade. YouTube and Facebook are, of course, the biggest social media platforms for using video online. Those are the 800-pound gorillas. But if you're the type of firm that does B2B business, or you're reaching out to professionals or looking to expand your professional network through connections, LinkedIn is increasingly important. So next thing, develop an action plan. Are you going to create videos? I think once you're done with this entire webinar, you should have the answer being an emphatic yes. I need videos for my law firm. So you need to decide what type. You've got those 3 types: the why video, the Q&A video, and the video blog. All are powerful, but you need to ask what's best for your firm and what's best now, and then how are you going to use them? You should use them everywhere. Anywhere where you have a presence online, you can be using videos. Now, I mentioned earlier affordable. A lot of people, when they hear the word affordable for video blogs, they don't realize just how affordable they are. Less than $500 per video. So this is something that's priced for most law firms. We work with firms all over the country. Most of them are solo firms. A few are 2 or 3 partners. It's priced affordably for everyone. This is my information. I think Jay is going to be sharing everyone's information at the end. If you'd like to learn more about video blogs, we'd be glad to talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. That was awesome. I promised you I'd have a couple tough questions, trick questions. So right now, I mean, obviously you mentioned COVID and folks don't want to shoot videos. What are people doing today that's working?
They're doing video blogs, but what we've been doing with a lot of the firms that work with us is we're bringing them into the video by shooting Zoom interviews. So I think you saw one of the examples when I had that 4 box up showing the 4 different videos. One of them was a lawyer in Shanghai. He's using video blogs to communicate to businesses in the United States who are potentially looking to go into China and need a law firm in China that's experienced with American companies working there. He wanted to be on the videos. He can't be on the videos. So we shoot Zoom interviews with him. We shoot sound bites. Our company, everyone who works here, me aside from being a lawyer, I was also a TV news reporter and anchor for 7 years. Everyone who works here was in the TV business as reporters and anchors. So we treat every video that we're producing, every video blog, as if it's a TV news report. And we write them that way because that's a powerful way to tell a story. And when we're interviewing these lawyers to get sound bites, we're looking for that 12 to 15 second nugget of valuable information that presents them in a positive light. And then we write the entire video to that sound bite to tell the story so that the spokesperson, the on-camera talent, is leading into that sound bite to establish the lawyer as the expert. Then you go to the sound bite, and then you come out and you say, well, if you have that type of problem, reach out to the attorney. So we're finding that Zoom interviews to create sound bites to insert into the videos are very powerful. But just understanding how important it is not to go silent during a pandemic. Just because you can't shoot videos in person or aren't willing to do that doesn't mean you stop, because video is not only important before the pandemic, it's increasingly important because this is really the only way we can all communicate right now.
That's great. Thank you. Do you have a case study or 1 or 2 examples where someone did some video and they just crushed it? They really had tremendous statistical results.
So we don't follow the statistics too closely. It's more anecdotal, being that we solely produce the videos. We produce the videos, we deliver them, and most of actually all of the law firms that we work with, they have other companies that are doing the website, SEO, pay-per-click, social media, email marketing. So we don't track that. Our job is just to produce a great video or a great series of videos that the law firms, marketing companies are going to use. We don't have any control over the marketing. We just have anecdotally, based on the fact that many of the law firms who work with us they're going on 4 or 5 years of video blogging, and they're not spending that kind of money unless it's working for them. You mentioned Scott Silver. He started with us, I think, in 2015, doing video blogs and continues to do it regularly. That's the case study. Case study is people coming back and continuously doing more videos because they understand how powerful it is.
And last question, you touched on this, but one thing I've been really impressed with you guys is it's like super easy. So like, Scott gets the I guess news updates every day from FINRA and the other governmental organizations. And when he sees a 7-alarm fire drill, is what we call it, when it's, a really bad guy, a real bad stockbroker, he'll just summarize some information, write a quick blog, and get it over to you guys. So what does the attorney have to do to have a video up in 24 hours like you described?
They can do as little as tell us, here's the topic I'd like the video to be on. That's it. And then we go ahead and produce the video. We always have them approve the script. They need to provide final sign off on the script, but that's it. They send us the topic, they approve the script, and you saw the high quality production of those videos. They're getting that in as little as one business day, based solely on potentially a 1-sentence email or a 1-minute phone call. It's that easy. One of the things that we try to do for the lawyers we work with, and a lot of this comes from my experiences as a solo practitioner for several years, and having so much on my plate, because we work with so many solo firms and small firms, we understand they're busy. We understand that they hired us because they don't have time to do the heavy lifting with anything marketing related. When I was practicing law, again, as a solo, as a young attorney, I had to do all of the marketing, and it consumed about half of my time. Our goal is to make sure that the firms who work with us are not overwhelmed by the marketing. They should feel comfortable just saying to us, here's what I want the video on, or they might even say, which is what a lot of the firms do, you're the experts, you tell me what the video should be on. And that's actually how most of the firms who work with us handle it. It's they say, you're the experts, you tell us the topics, just send me scripts and I'll approve them, and then we deliver videos. It's that simple.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for jumping into Corey.
Thanks, Jay.
And send him our condolences. It's not his family, but it's a friend. And great job. And stick around, because we'll
yep, definitely
throw you a few more zinger questions at the end. And for everyone in attendance, down at the bottom of your screen, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a chat box. I put my Calendly link in there if anyone would like to get together for a consultation, and we'll assemble your questions at the end, and we'll throw a few tough ones at the panelists. So next up is Alyssa, and she's from Crisp Video. And if you guys have been following Crisp Video at all, they used to do one of the best conferences in the industry, and hopefully they will soon again. I think they gave away 3 Teslas at the conference last fall, and they pushed it, I think, until May. Alyssa might update us on that. And she's been working in this business for 10 plus years, won a couple awards from the very highly touted folks in the search industry, including Search Engine Land. And she's obsessed with Italian greyhounds and yoga. I've actually taken up video yoga with Yoga with Adrian on YouTube. And maybe you'll have time to tell us if you do any video yoga. But Alyssa, let's make sure your audio is good. And I'm going to stop sharing so you can share your screen.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to share my screen right now.
Got it. Great.
Okay. Yeah. So as Jay mentioned, yes, at Crisp Video, we have a very exciting conference. It did get moved to May 21st to 22nd of next year, but it's going to be better than ever. There's going to be a Rolls-Royce Ghost that is being given away this time around. So always upping the ante on what we're giving away. And we have given away some Teslas. So we're really excited about that event. But yeah, so so the 7 deadly sins of video marketing is what I will be talking about today. These are the 7 common mistakes that we have seen our clients and other attorneys use when they are putting together their video, and how you can really not fall into some of these traps. So I'll go through each one of them, what they are, and how you can make sure that you don't fall into these traps. So Jay went through about me, but yes, I am obsessed with Italian greyhounds and yoga. I do some virtual yoga, so I can talk some more about that if we have time, if anybody needs some good stretching. But I know Jay talked about the importance of video and shared some statistics, but I wanted to really hone in on 3 that are primarily really important to us here at Crisp Video. So number 1, video promotes recall more than any other channel. People who watch a video remember 95% of that message when they are watching it in video, compared to only remembering 10% of a message when they are reading it in text. So what that means is if you're reading these stats right now, you probably will only remember about 10% of the stats that you're seeing. But if you go and watch the webinar afterwards, you will actually remember about 95% of it. So video is really good to promote recall. Second is that it is the most preferred medium by consumers. So 72% of prospective clients would rather learn about a service by video rather than over any other content type. That's an easy one to understand. Video is easy. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. You can just watch a video, get what you need, and you don't have to use a lot of effort to get that information. So it's very much preferred. And then finally, it is the number 1 resource that most people will go to when they are doing the research about a product or service. So nearly 50% of internet users look for videos related to the products or services that they are researching in order to get some information about that before they even make their first contact. So they want to watch videos and better understand what you are providing. So those are 3 really big takeaways about why video is important. So with that, I'll go into the 7 deadly sins of video marketing and how you can avoid them. The first deadly sin, and Brian talked a little bit about this, is basing video creation on cost, not value. So at the end of the day, marketing is an investment and it should be seen as an investment. And video is a part of your marketing, so it should be thought of in the exact same way. It is an investment that you are making into your company, into your law firm, and making sure that you're not just looking at the dollar sign and trying to choose the cheapest option. You're also not trying to choose the most expensive option. You are choosing based off of the value that you are wanting to get out of that video. You wouldn't buy the cheapest steak because that has consequences. You want to buy a more expensive steak. That's a very easy, common thing that people understand. Same is true about the video. If you spent $1,000 on your video and you knew that you were going to get $1,500 out of that video, wouldn't you be willing to spend that type of money on your video? So that is to say, don't make cost the number 1 reason why you decide to make a video, how you choose how that video is going to be produced. Because if you do that, you're not going to be able to actually get value out of that video. And it's going to be something that you either spent too little on or too much on. Not all videos are created equal just because of a dollar sign either. So you don't always have to go with a very expensive studio produced thing if that is not what your target audience is on. So for example, if you are going for if your clientele is very high end, you want a high end video. So you're going to have to provide value with a high end video. However, if you know that your clientele is really just on something like an Instagram just released a study saying that when you produce a story, so the stories feature within Instagram, that is just your typical like mobile story taken on your phone, it actually performs better than a fully studio produced video that you might have spent a ton of money on. So you've got to think of it as the value that you are providing for the person at the end of the day and not just that dollar sign. And again, that doesn't mean you have to always choose the most expensive option. You just have to choose what you want based off of what you are going to get. So you get what you put into it, and you got to think of it as an investment. So that's the first deadly sin, is basing it solely on cost and not looking at the value that you're trying to provide. The second deadly sin is forgetting that brand matters. When you put out a video about your law firm, it is a representation of your brand. Your brand is much more than just a logo. It is an emotion, it is a feeling, it is a story. It talks about who you are as a law firm, and it needs to reinforce your compassion and your dedication. So you don't want to put a video out there that sends a message that you are cheap, that you are loud, that you are scary, if that is not the message about the brand that you want to get out of there. A lot of law firms fall into the trap of trying to be very exciting and think that they have to do a lot of bells and whistles to get attention because that's what other companies are doing. So then you end up with a video that is very loud, abrasive, focuses on like fear tactics. And those things are fine if that is what you want your brand to be. But if that is not what you want your brand to be, then those are not the things that you should be focusing on. What you need to focus on is creating a high quality, engaging message that is very emotional, that connects with people and talks about your benefits. And that will stay with you and do a lot more for you than something that's just like quick, flashy, gets a lot of social shares, but then doesn't actually get people talking about you, calling you, and understanding what your brand is about. So that is very important to keep in mind. So deadly sin number 2, again, is forgetting that brand matters. Deadly sin number 3 is creating a video that only focuses on your services and not the client experience. This is something we see a lot when you are somebody in personal injury, for example, who talks about the services that your law firm can provide. It is the exact same services that another law firm that does personal injury also provides. There is no differentiation between those services. You might think that your services are more high-end or better than the other law firm, but unless you actually state that and unless you actually give some real tangible examples of how your experience throughout those services is different, no one's going to believe you. So if you just say, we have these services, they provide this amount of value, that's not telling the full story. So you've got to demonstrate that you're a living, breathing human who can go beyond just the traditional services that you provide and actually tell that story again. And customer experience encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses what happens when the person calls your law firm, who picks up that phone, how is the intake processed, if they have another follow-up question, how quickly is that actually responded to, what are all of the different touch points that they have with your law firm that make that experience one that they want to come back to and one that is going to provide them with a value. Customer experience is a very hot topic right now. It's been growing in how consumers expect to be treated because there are companies like Amazon who have created this insane customer experience that has created this expectation that people get what they want, when they want, the way they want it, so fast. And law firms don't have to do it that way, but they have to be aware that consumers are very used to being treated like that, and that their experience needs to be something that is talked about so that they know what they're getting. If you want to know a little bit more about customer experience, especially how it could pertain to a law firm, we've got a great episode on our podcast, the Game Changing Attorney podcast, with Joey Coleman, who's an expert in customer service. And he talks about a lot of the different ways that you can highlight your customer experience and what you need to think about with your customer experience. And then you need to make sure that those points come across within your video. Otherwise, you're just going to be saying the exact same thing that another firm is saying. So again, focus on the client experience as well as your services. Deadly sin number 4 is creating a great video and forgetting completely about the implementation and strategy. We see this happen a lot where somebody will be very thoughtful about creating the video, putting together a storyboard, deciding what they want, and having this beautiful produced video that they then have no plans on what to do with it. So at Crisp, we provide the production of the video, but we also do provide the marketing so that that video just doesn't sit there. If you create a video and nobody watches it, did you actually create that video? So when I talk about implementation, it's that marketing of that video. So it needs to be produced, and then you need to have a plan of what to do with it once it's actually produced. So are you going to do a marketing campaign around it? Are you going to just host it on your website? How are you going to get it to the people that you want to see it so that it doesn't just sit there? So it needs to be properly executed. And when you actually do have the implementation plan in place, you need to understand how you're going to measure it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can measure a video. You can look at things like how many views did it get? Did people, when they see it in like an ad, for example, then click to my website? There's a lot of different things that you can look at and see how, including, how much of the video people actually watched. So you want to be mindful of all of those pieces before and have that set before you actually create the video. Because otherwise, again, you're going to have spent this time, this energy, this investment on something that nobody may see, and it may not actually end up getting you the results that you were trying to get at the end of the day. So come up with your implementation strategy. Make sure you know what you want to measure and that those measures are very specific. So that gives you like a very strategic, results-driven approach, and you're not just creating a video just for the sake of creating a video. I put TikTok on here as an example. We know a lot of attorneys are on TikTok and testing the water with it, and TikTok has a lot of great ways that you can use real-time, quick, not fancy video. But there hasn't been a lot of measurement about how TikTok actually translates into talking about your brand, how TikTok actually translates into helping drive more cases. So if you are going to test out new, different ways to implement the video as well, make sure that you set out that strategy and that measurement plan before you go and do that, so that you're not wasting your time on something that isn't going to get you the results that you thought that you were going to. Because if you did spend a lot of money on that video, then it's going to feel like an investment without any of the return. So don't forget about that implementation, and remember that everything has to be strategic when you're putting that video together, so that people know, people actually see it, and they are the people that you want to see it. On that route of people that you actually want to see it, the deadly sin number 5 is not speaking to the right audience. Many times we create video with content that we think is going to be resonant, that we think is going to be exciting, that we think is going to be fun, but we're not really thinking about the end user. So if you're going to be talking to somebody who is a mother, that is a very different message than somebody who has no kids, is a single person that is focused on their career, versus like a high-end clientele that you want. You really need to think about who is it that you're trying to get to watch this video, and what kind of message do they want to hear? What kind of message is going to actually resonate with them, so that they're not going to hear you and then not actually hear what you wanted them to hear. This happens a lot if you are putting out something that is very funny and is very humorous, but maybe humor isn't something that resonates with the right audience that you were looking for, and they're going to take you and think of you as more of a joke than actually somebody serious for them to actually refer their case to. So this comes very obvious when you think of things like legal jargon. Most consumers do not understand legal jargon. They're going to think that you are a robot if you are saying a lot of legal jargon. However, if you want a very technical clientele, that might be okay. If you want somebody who's a little bit more sophisticated, very technical, that sort of stuff is okay. But again, it's not okay if that's not who you want to be driven to you at the end of the day. Some of the less obvious things that we've seen clients and other attorneys miss the mark on are tone. There are a lot of different tones that a video can hit. A video can be very emotional. A video can be very aggressive. You got to think about what your audience is feeling and what you need to react to based off of those feelings. So if your intended audience is having a very vulnerable moment, and your video is something that has a tone that's very aggressive and in their face, they're not going to respond to that at the end of the day. They're going to respond to something that is a little bit more appealing to understanding where they are at currently than something that just is yelling at them. So you got to really speak to the right audience. Otherwise, you're going to have a completely empty room with nobody listening to your messaging, and those phones are not going to be ringing. Versus if you really think about the audience and decide what it is that you want them to hear and how you can then approach that, that's going to make your video much more powerful. So again, just keep in mind the audience and build your video around that while still being authentic and keeping your story at the center. Deadly sin number 6 is not starting the video with your why. This is our bread and butter at Crisp Video. At Crisp Video, our brand videos are really focused on what we call your unique value proposition. Every attorney has a reason why they got into law. Every attorney has a case that was a turning point for them. Every attorney has something that happened to them that triggered them to become a lawyer. So there is always a part of your story that is worth telling. A lot of attorneys feel like their story isn't very impactful. It's not the most exciting story. It's something that could be very basic, and they don't think that it will actually resonate with people. But that's usually where attorneys are wrong, because once you start telling your story, you're going to find a very nice emotional component and a nice thread that's going to resonate a lot with your intended audience. And it's going to make you seem like you're a real human being, and start again with that why. So when you're thinking about putting together your video, you want to make sure you're answering the why of why you got into law, why should I hire you, and why shouldn't I hire somebody else? You got to answer those whys, and your story will help answer that why. So when we put together a video that starts with the why, we always recommend starting with, a personal story that talks about either why you got into law, a special case, that sort of thing. Or it could even be like a passion that drove you into your specific specialty. There's lots of people who have passions that, maybe focus them on things like the brewery industry, which is super niche, but somebody has a passion for brewing beer and they got into litigation that deals with the brewing industry in particular. That is a great story to tell. There's definitely a reason why that you did that, so you need to focus on that. So again, start with that why, include like why you became an attorney, why you do what you do, and then also make sure that you're showing your unique value proposition, or like the why that passion then makes you a great attorney. And that's going to resonate a lot better with people who are watching the video, and it's going to make you stand out more than some of the other videos that are out there. Everyone's going to say a lot of the same things. So this is the one thing that is unique to you that nobody else can really say. So we really recommend doing that. And then the rest will really come together. Another beautiful way to put this together is when you're thinking of your video is to include client testimonials. There's people who chose you for a reason. So make sure that you're showcasing the reasons why they chose you, because then it's not you just telling people why they should choose you. It's having that social proof that was talked about as to why you are the best fit for somebody, and that will resonate better. So again, don't just have like a very stagnant story that's like, here's my results, here's what I've done. That can work for some audiences, but we've found that if you tell that why and you have that emotional connection, that helps a lot more and will better differentiate you from other attorneys. Deadly sin number 7, and we talked a little bit about this with Jay, but one of the biggest things that we find happens is that you fail to leverage multi-channel marketing, which means you've got to think about the many different ways your video can actually be placed in marketing channels. So with social media, with the internet, there is so many different things that you can do. It's not just being on TV. It's not just radio anymore. There's just no more just like print and stuff. So there's so many different channels, which means that your video has a lot of different legs that it can go. And Jay talked about this with cascading content, and that is something that we definitely preach by when you were creating your video. So for example, let's say you start with a brand video. A brand video is something that we would say should be about 2 to 3 minutes long. It should really lead with that why. It should have 2 to 3 client testimonials within that video that help showcase that why. So it'll be a much longer video. That video is going to have lots of wonderful sound bites. It's going to be something that can be used in certain places, but a 3-minute video is not going to work everywhere. A 3-minute video is not going to be able to hold everyone's attention on a social channel. It's definitely going to hold their attention if they come and visit you on the website, but it's not going to be something that's going to stand for the social channel that they're on, where the attention is just so much shorter. So you need to think about all the different ways that you can then cut that video, and then how that cut is going to be placed across all these different channels for that marketing. So for example, we always recommend that if you have your 3-minute brand video to start with, that you cut it into a 60-second version, a 30-second version, a 15-second version, and a 6-second version. These versions all allow you to operate in different channels that all have different strengths. And I'll talk a little bit more about some different ways that you can post this video. But those versions, if you have at least those, you can hit every major social channel, and make sure that you have it in a place where you're going to reach all of your audiences, so that you're not leaving any potential on the table. Also, you can make a video into about at least 100 different pieces of content. Whenever you make a video, you can also cut out any different stills of that video. So if you have a great shot in the video of you talking to a client, or a shot of anything else that you really think is like powerful, you can take stills from your video with some different tools to make sure that that is something that you can then utilize for different marketing materials. So for example, if you take this still, you can then use it in some like print, you can use it in magazine, etc. And these stills can be also used on social media. So again, it's something that you get to use across a different variety of channels, and that allows you to use it in more than just that one video. So you don't want to forget that all these channels are at your disposal, because if you just have that 3-minute video, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. And as a bonus, I've provided some different ways that you can utilize your video. A lot of these Jay did talk about, but these are just some 10 basic ones. You can do a ton of different things with video, but we definitely recommend starting with the social channels. So uploading your video to channels like Facebook and YouTube in particular, because those ones play very well with video. So, and we also always recommend that if you're gonna upload it into channels like that, that you also consider using things like ads for those channels, because the organic reach that you get on those channels is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The social channels want you to pay for things, so you do have to get used to it, but that doesn't mean you have to spend a ton of money. You can do some little incremental testing to see where you can actually like get more people to watch that video. But yes, so you can upload it to Facebook, you can upload it to YouTube, and then run it on ads on both of those. We always recommend that you embed your video on your website, and any video that you do can go on a couple different pages. We always recommend, if you start with a brand video, that you post it on your homepage and you do it above the fold, which is above the scroll, so that people can see it very easily as the first thing when they go to the homepage. And then you can place it in a couple different places on your website as well. Another great place to put it is in your office. So when everyone does return to the office, that you can actually see the video there. And if you have like delivery people and people who visit your office frequently, they have other networks of people that they can then also potentially refer to you. So it's a great way to just showcase your messaging when we are all back at the office. And then you can include your video in your team's email signatures. So if you use a Google or Gmail, there's lots of easy tools you can use to do that. You can also just make it as easy as like a little link in your signature so that they can then actually watch the video. And then number 6, if you are hosted in any like directories, like if you have your information like a Yelp profile or anything like that, or if you're going to be on a speaking circuit, you can always add a link to your video in those profiles and make sure that people are watching it. 7 is LinkedIn. LinkedIn has even better, I would argue, features sometimes on video than some of the other social channels because of those company pages that they have. They can do a lot with video on that, so you can showcase your big brand video, but you can also showcase some videos that talk about your culture and how you work as and operate as a company. And those are great videos that can, again, kind of talk more about that client experience that I mentioned. And then you can also email your video. Emailing your video is great. You can always use it as something as to email to somebody that maybe just submitted a contact us form to you. You can use it as a quick way to reach out to them and then share some more information about them, because again, video has that recall, so then they're going to remember you more, and then that's going to help them move further down the funnel. Number 9 is adding that video to Google My Business, which Jay mentioned, and we're definitely a big proponent of Google My Business. Google My Business is, again, just that little buddy that shows, your address, your phone number, pictures of your office, etc. You can actually upload your own video to that as well, so people can then actually watch that. And then finally, you can always play the video when you're at community events, even if they're virtual. There's lots of options to play video. So you can do it in person, you can do it virtual, and you can make sure that people are seeing that. So that your video is always front and center. And again, you're just spreading out that messaging, because at the end of the day, what we really preach is to make sure that you are thought of as like the #1 law firm, and that you can make sure that you are thought of differently than your other competitors, and video is a great way to do that. So that was a lot of information. So happy to provide any more information. You can email hello@crispvideo.com, and I can help answer any questions. And I know we're going to take some questions here at the end as well.
Alyssa, that was awesome. Thank you so much. I always like to summarize a little bit and some of the amazing things that, and I think I've been at every conference and heard 1,000 presentations, but I hadn't heard that recall is 10% from reading, but 95% from video. That's awesome. I learned in college that if you write it down, you learn a lot more. So that's why I take so many notes. The second thing, that 72% prefer to learn by video, and a subset of that is 50% look for video on a website. You also said one of the key things I took from demonstrate you're a real person. Like, I think what you guys do a great job is you extract from the attorneys, like, what are they, why did they become an attorney? And so many of these guys had something happen in their life that was formative, and they wanted to fight the man, basically, and particularly personal injury attorneys. If you create you said, if a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear? Like, if you create a video and you don't promote it, that's like one of my golden rules. If you create it, they won't just come. Like, you basically have to promote your website. And you said upload to Facebook in their native format. And I hear that a lot, that you don't want to upload a YouTube link. Facebook likes you to create a unique video, like maybe just a shorter, different edit to Facebook. And a couple great ideas. Add it to Avo, particularly for attorneys, right? And LinkedIn is a really great one. The LinkedIn videos, super hot. And finally, the GMB, because I forget about that sometimes, but Google My Business or your Google Maps is like super important. We're a little tight on time, but I want to ask you at least one question. I always joke about the hippo. Do you know who the hippo is in an organization?
No.
The hippo is the highest paid person's opinion. We joke, the hippo, but I hear this all the time, from the partner in a law firm who says, why would I do video? I would never watch a video on a website. But you clearly pointed out, like, 72% of people look for video. 72% prefer to learn by video. 50% look for video on a website. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's again thinking about you as the consumer and not necessarily who your real consumer is. That makes that thinking happen. Where, why would anybody watch a video? I wouldn't watch a video. It doesn't matter if you would watch the video. It's what the consumer wants, and we're seeing trends go more and more towards video because, again, it's a really easy way for people to remember stuff. Number one, and then it takes all of the reading and research and everything like that out of their hands and centralizes it into one place. So it's just, because the culture has moved so much more to give me everything right now and don't make me do any work, that's what video does.
Yeah, I always say to people, like, when the hippo says, I would never watch video, or I would never read long copy, it's like, well, Google's SEO search engine robots are reading the long copy. So you have to have it there. And some people like video, like some people are video watchers. Some people, I'm a clicker, like I'll click around and try and answer the question. Yep. Some people like the chat. So you have to have the different functions available for the different people.
Absolutely.
Anyways, that was great. Thank you so much. We're a little tight on time, so I'm going to get right to Madeline, but don't go anywhere. And I'm sure the folks will have some great questions for you at the end. And I'm just going, you have to stop sharing, please, Alyssa. Yep. And then I can share my screen. And I'll introduce Madeline. And Madeline, awesome you could be here. Madeline is a 6-time Emmy Award-winning producer. So I'm thrilled to have such a celebrated person on our webinar series. She's a leadership and public speaking coach, so she helps you do this and not stumble like I just did. And she's an on-camera media trainer. So very important if you get media opportunities to have media training. And Madeline takes it another level with the on-camera training. And today she's going to give us some on-camera training for our Zooms, because so many more things, business meetings, critical sales meetings are happening by Zoom. Conferences are happening by Zoom. And for lawyers, hearings and trials are actually happening by Zooms. You're appearing in front of judges. So you better not be looking down on the judge, and many other things that Madeline will share with us today, including her exciting history with companies such as Discovery Channel, National Geographic. And if you worked directly with Oprah. We've got to hear a story about that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Madeline. I'm going to stop sharing so we can see her and she can demonstrate for us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And Jay, thanks so much for inviting me. I think my expertise really dovetails with everybody's here. I've clearly made a lot of video in my life with a variety of different clients, both national and international television, as well as people like PayPal, American Express, the U.S. Olympic Committee. I've interviewed thousands of people around the world, basically. I love to do this. I love to bring people's stories out that make them human and help them to tell the story that they really connect with. One of the stories I think all of us can relate to right now is this frustrating box that we are all talking from. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit because this box is part of the story that you're telling, and it's in a whole new dimension, in fact, 2D, two-dimensional, going from three-dimensional, which a lot of lawyers, legal professionals are probably quite frustrated with when it comes to online advocacy and just translating the kind of information that you're able to project when you're in person is very different when you're in this little box. And I'm going to talk about that today a little bit, and the importance of understanding the difference and understanding the palette of what people expect when they look at you, which has everything to do with how they perceive you as being professional, as an expert, etc. And then I'm also going to talk about lighting, a little bit about lighting, makeup, wardrobe, and your background. Just so you know, this is something that I offer courses to law firms around this so everybody can get trained at once. I have a team that I present these with if they're available it's a star-studded team. They've worked with amazing people like Julia Roberts, Isabella Rossellini, I mean, you name it. And these are people that I've hired quite a bit in video. We are working now together doing this as well. We also offer private consultations so you can really get down your lighting, your makeup, your wardrobe options so that you're ready to go. You aren't fiddling with this every single time you need to be online. My background, besides being a producer, writer, and director, I also have a background in acting. I've been on stage quite a bit, and I realized quickly that I'm not wildly interested in being on camera when I was on a Ford Taurus commercial and realized I really wanted to be behind the camera and not in front of it. So at any rate, when it comes to online advocacy and even sales calls, there's a big difference, as you know, about being online and being in person. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what's different and why it matters. Well, people have a very, very sophisticated palette for what works on video and on a video screen. They do not necessarily understand what they're watching, but they know when something doesn't look good. If you think about how many people are likely streaming television now, Netflix, Amazon Prime, you name it, versus what they used to watch, it's profound. And they're used to watching very highly produced material. And most people have done this their whole lives. So we're talking about something that's a story well told with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's well produced. It's well lit. It's well framed. The sound is good. And professionals are actually, for each one of these areas, they've been doing it their whole career. And they're the only person they're only doing sound on set. They're only doing lighting on set. It's very sophisticated what goes into this. And that means you need to take some time to get up to speed on what is needed in a frame on a Zoom call, whether that be a sales call, whether that be meeting with a witness or doing a deposition, and even higher pressure being in a trial. So we're used to seeing people on camera, as I said, that look professional. The other thing is we're used to seeing people on camera that are well trained. Generally speaking, when somebody gets to broadcast TV, they are well trained in how to deliver information. Sometimes they've learned how to read a teleprompter. I'm not saying you need to go and get professional training on how to read a teleprompter by any means. But I'm just talking again about the sophisticated palate. And also the idea of using your body language is something you've probably all trained in already, you're lawyers, but we get much more attention now on our voice, our head movements, our eye contact, etc., because of this limited box. When do you pause? How do you pause for effect? How can you look at your notes and keep connection with the audience? These are very important things to consider when you are in a Zoom box. So I want to tell you some of the pitfalls when you really don't have the vocabulary for what to look at. So I give courses in this, and then at the end, people have no idea actually how to apply it to themselves. So I'm going to cover some basic things, and then I'm going to have a few people let me apply it to them. But here are some of the pitfalls. Bad lighting. So bad lighting translates a message to the viewer that you don't care, that you're unprofessional, that you don't have expertise, that you are not credible. If you have lighting that's just on half of your face and a very strong light source from one side and not on the other, you really are only letting the audience see half of your face. And what does that tell us? It may be that you can't be trusted or that you're shady. Now, I'm not saying people say this in their minds exactly. They don't consciously say it, but you're giving off an image that is very important to consider. If you have a messy background or your background doesn't have a way to tell us that you've spent an effort in framing your background, which helps us to land on your face. It helps to frame your face. So the attention is on your face. You might seem disorganized and unprofessional, potentially not worth hiring as a lawyer. And bad framing or in your background can also signify that you are sloppy. Okay, so it's something. Think about how you're online today and how you're showing up. Another thing that's really interesting is if it's very hot out and you've got lights on you, you can get a little sweaty. If you're a little sweaty, it sometimes indicates to people, again, unconsciously, that you're nervous, that you have something to hide. Bad sound. Again, sometimes people sound like they're in a cave. Could indicate that you're not professional, you're not present, you're not really with your client. Uneven skin tone, which I have a very uneven skin tone with lots of freckles. It can indicate that you're unhealthy, you're not taking care of yourself. And so makeup comes in. And it's important to have makeup for everybody, men and women. I'll talk briefly about that. So this need to show yourself as a professional, as an expert, to establish authority is a very big one when it comes to moving online. And establishing a connection with the people in the courtroom is difficult. You want to put your best foot forward. And this, of course, goes for sales calls as well. I want to talk first about your eye line. It's tough for you because you're going to have a lot of notes in a trial. What the best thing to do, number one, is to have your eye level at the same level as your camera. So as Jay mentioned, you don't want to be looking up at somebody or down at somebody. If you're looking up into the camera, you look meek and mousy, and like you lose your authority. If you're looking down on somebody, let's say I go like this, you could look arrogant, patronizing, etc. This eye level thing is a lot more important than many people think. Now, when it comes to reading your notes, and this is very important when you're in trial, is you can put your notes, let's say you've got a Google Doc or the many different documents you might have, and then you want to try as much as you can to have easy access to that. You put your document right over your Zoom box or whatever platform you use. And you put your notes right under that camera so that you're really not looking too far. I'll show you, this looks really bad if you keep looking down and up and down and up. It's unnecessary movement and you lose your connection. Just going to give you one basic tip for lighting. Eyes are the window to your soul. They're the windows to your soul. That's actually attributed to many different people, that amazing saying. People want to be able to see your eyes. If they don't see your eyes, they're not going to be able to establish a connection with you or trust. And I would say that that would be the number one thing you want to think about with lighting. And so you want to make sure that you've got good enough lighting to light up your face. The easiest thing you can do is put a light behind your camera, a little bit behind your computer, a little bit above it, so that the light is coming from behind your computer and shining right on your face. Okay, that's the one thing I would like to give you a tip for lighting. Now, let's talk about makeup for a second. Makeup, whether you wear it or not in normal life, is very important for appearing on camera. First of all, we are looking at ourselves in these Zoom meetings all day. It gets completely exhausting to see yourself not looking good. You want to wear makeup and you want to wear more of it. For women, that means at least having some kind of a base and powder over it so you're not too shiny. You can afford to just fill in your eyebrows a little bit, which will help frame your face. I'm going to take off my glasses here. My eyebrows tend to disappear. Fill in your eyebrows. It helps to frame your face and bring everybody's eye level back to your eyes. And this part of your face, which is a very important aspect of communicating these days, because that's mostly and hopefully what people are looking at in the video screen. In terms of your background, you want to spend some time composing your background. Okay, as you can see, there's a big strong light behind me. I could have closed that curtain behind me, but I didn't want to because I'd like to have that frame right around my face, as well as letting a little light into the backdrop in the room. I personally have 2 ring lights right next to me from either side, because I can't put one of these on the table where I'm located. And so I've got 2 light sources helping to light up my face. Background-wise, we can talk about this. I'm going to actually call Alyssa to the front and talk about this a little bit with Alyssa and what she might be able to do for herself. So Alyssa, thank you for coming online. Now, this is not Alyssa's normal place. If you can unmute yourself, I think you're, this is not where she normally works, but I'm using Alyssa as an example to show you that she really doesn't have an established background. I see a little bit of a shadow on her, off of her right shoulder, so on our left. I don't know what that is. She's sitting against a white wall, and there's not a lot of light on her face. So right now what's happening is she's blending in a little bit with her background, and there's nothing to make her pop. Okay, but Alyssa, you could solve that problem by getting a light that is right behind her camera. Now, just for a moment, Alyssa, I'd like you to pick up your computer and show me what it looks like to have that camera at eye level. Can you look right into the camera? Mm-hmm. Okay, I just got a much better impression of who Alyssa is, her gorgeous face and smile, and she would need more light on her face. It's a little bit shady on our right, on her left side. I want to see that whole face lit up. She's got this gorgeous face. Alyssa, you could use some lipstick. That would help. And also, you've got these wonderful eyebrows that I'm totally jealous of. Now, for the women, it would be great to add some mascara. You might have some on right now. And but other than that, you can go ahead and put that down so you're not holding it up. She's also got a very busy shade to her left, so at our right, with light coming in. That's very distracting. I don't want to spend my time working out what to look at. I really just want to be looking at her face. So that one little shift she made was huge. Okay, so great job. Now I want to point out color. She's got a wonderful color on. Red is really good on camera. For men, when it comes to makeup, and Jay, if you want to come on camera, I will just say a few notes for you as well. For men, it's very easy to get a little bit sweaty, and if you're bald or balding, this is not for you, Jay. This is just a note for men. You want to have a little bit of powder. Okay, nobody's going to know that you're wearing it because you're on Zoom. If you pat powder on your face, have a Kleenex nearby. If you start to get a little sweaty, what happens is light bounces off of your skin and it reflects back. It's distracting and it makes you, again, look a little nervous, a little unsure, a little bit awkward. Now, Jay has what we call a green screen image behind him, okay? It's an image that Zoom uses. They allow you to have a background. Now what's happening, and a lot of lawyers have been doing this, it's a great idea for many people if you don't want to be recreating your environment all the time. You really want to have some kind of setup that you can go back to consistently. Now with Jay, I think this is great. What's happening a little bit for me, Jay, is the words are so big and your face is a little too small. And because you are the host of the webinar, I want to see more of your face. I think those words could afford to be a little bit smaller. The other thing that's happening, I'd like everyone to notice this. Jay, can you just look to your right so we can see your profile?
That right?
And all the way. So do you see what's happening around the picture for Jay? Now, some lawyers particularly, have appeared in online trials with a backdrop. And what's happening, they've literally looked left or right and we've lost their nose. Or they use their hands and sometimes their only part of their hands shows up. It looks unprofessional when that happens. I'm not saying it's happening with you, Jay. We would like to, what I'd like to suggest is doing a little research about green screen and how you can make it better on your image. It's a wonderful way to go. You want to have a strong enough internet connection, but a green backdrop behind you, which makes your internet work, doesn't have to work as hard to frame the image, and you'll get a much cleaner cut around your body. So these are some of the things that I think are very important to share with you. There are many more. We give private consultations as well as group trainings that are very fun. There are a lot of tips and tricks which are great to learn about before you're in more professional situations. People's palettes are getting more sophisticated because they're getting Zoom exhaustion. If they're spending their time looking at your backdrop and trying to figure out how you're looking and feeling and communicating, you have lost your person because it's too exhausting. Thank you all so much. My information and contact information is in the chat as well, as I think we'll be sending that out as well.
Thanks, Madeline. That was awesome. I did actually, since I got to see Madeline even on a longer presentation. She's great, and I highly recommend see her full presentation, or if you can, bring her in for your organization. In particular, like if you're lawyers and you're talking to judges, this is important. This is not insignificant things. And I learned more again today, about looking. The other day I got rid of my laptop, so Madeline coached us that if you're looking down at your laptop, you're looking down on the folks in the meeting. It's interesting. You're a lot closer to the video than I am. Do you think I should be, should I be bigger? Should I be,
You could afford to come a little closer. And also, Jay, you could use more light on your face. Now, one thing I want to point out, you'll kind of see with me, if you're looking, you can see that when I look up, I get this big reflection in my glasses, which is really kind of annoying and distracting. What you can do for that, and Jay, if that becomes an issue for you, and that's even better right there, Jay, you're also going to want to have a light source on your other side. And that's also going to help the cutout of the green screen so not be quite as jagged, right? But one little tip is with your glasses, you just tilt them up slightly so that the arm of the glass is slightly up and tilted.
Down or?
And that works.
Downward.
Right now, I'm not having much of a glare in your glasses, so it's a non-issue. I can see your eyes really well. But if I'm up like this, I would tell somebody, and this is, what their image looks like. If I just tilt that up a little bit, nobody's going to know. And that suddenly you don't see that in my glasses. Okay. These are all things that matter. People are not going to identify it exactly about what's going on, but it's not that much time to figure out what really looks good for you and how to make it work. And you do not want to show up and have somebody look so much better than you do, especially because I'm sure you're all good at what you do.
The other thing that's tricky is I did this background for the webinar. And here's a little side tip, by the way. I probably see about 100 people a week now on Zooms between, my different network groups and our team meetings and different kinds of meetings. So this becomes a great advertising vehicle. Literally that's 100 times 4 is 400 impressions to promote the webinar each month. Or, to say, and it's really great on like networking meetings. I'm doing a ton of these Zooms to meet folks one-on-one, is to explain, we do internet marketing for law firms. And every month we do a webinar. It's a great way for you to learn more, and learn about what we do. It's a great talking point using your background, for me anyways. I did, by the way, play around with a green screen, and it was coming in green. So where you see white right now, since we spoke, I got a new camera and a green screen. So it's great because the camera got me off my laptop, because my laptop's over here, and I used to spend my whole day huddled over my laptop so that people could hear me. I got a microphone. This is my snowball microphone. So I thank you for upgrading my game, my Zoom game. And also, frankly, I bought in. Like, we all thought this, Corona situation might last another week, another month. And, now that we're into like 6 months, obviously, and maybe 6 months more, I think it's time everybody takes Madeleine's advice and upgrades their Zoom, because this has become our life. It's become our business life, and it's super important.
And I do think one of the reasons that people, there's a lot of reasons that this Zoom exhaustion or Zoom gloom, or, it's got a lot of different terms, is happening, is because people are looking at bad images all day of people. And that is taxing, because your brain is like, I don't know what to look at. I want to connect, but I can't see somebody's face or eyes. It's time to up your game.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one last question, and then we're running up against time here, so I want to let people get on with the rest of their day. But you also talked about makeup for men, and you had a tip. Like you say, get some powder. Like, is that like the same thing I put in my shoes? Like,
good question, Jay.
Guy question.
So there's a little compact powder in the makeup section. What you want to do is you can literally get this from Target. It does not need to be fancy, but MAC, there are a lot of different professional makeup, but literally, you can go into Target and get powder for your face, and you just go and say, where is the powder? If you're embarrassed, you can say you're buying it for somebody else. If you have fair skin, you can open up these compact powder cases and look at it compared to your skin. You want to get the color that's closest to your skin, and then you basically dab that on. You take it literally got an applier. It's a little round thing that you rub into the compact and you put it onto your face. You put it everywhere. You put it everywhere where you might have balding spots. And it makes a world of difference.
Takes the glare out.
Takes the glare out. And it also evens out your facial tone. So if I was to not have any makeup at all on, I would just look super splotchy with my freckles. I may not be able to.
I doubt that, but great. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being here. Alyssa and Brian, awesome presentations, and thank you for participating. I didn't see anyone adding questions to the chat, but if anyone wants a chance to get a question for this awesome panel, I had a bunch more questions. I could sneak one in, if you don't mind. Where's my Brian notes? This is a great one.
You're going to have to sign off because I've got another meeting.
Thanks, Madeline.
Thank you so much. It was great to meet all of you and incredible presenters, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Brian, I'll give you one question. How do you create, what's the best way to do testimonials?
Best way to do testimonials typically, especially in the current environment where it's tough to do in-person shoots, it's to have the person who's providing the testimonial shoot the video on an iPhone. And what we do is before they shoot that video, we coach them through it. We provide them with best practices, things like making sure you're shooting horizontal as opposed to vertical so that we can use the full screen of the video. Trying to understand what their available mic or audio sources are. If they have to shoot it off the audio or the microphone on the phone, making sure that they're in a quiet space and teaching them some basic framing tips. And then also coaching them ahead of time to provide them with guidance on keeping it short, succinct, and to the point. Because again, our goal is to keep the whole video to 1 minute or less. And the testimonial is not the whole video because a 1 minute testimonial is typically rambling. It's just repetitive. So we want to make sure that we're getting a great nugget from them in 12 to 15 seconds, and then we're building a story around that.
So you build the testimonial. And Alyssa, you touched on this a little bit, and maybe this is a great question for both of you. And I get this all the time. How long should videos be?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you're going to place it. If you want to tell your full story and it's going to be something that's going to be hosted on your website, 2 to 3 minutes is okay, but that's not going to be something you're going to want to be there. Like first touch point is that full 3 minutes. You're going to want usually like 30 seconds, maybe 15 on social channels. 60 seconds do all right as well, particularly on Facebook. But if you go much longer than that, you definitely like drop off on the retention rate and the attention rate.
And what was that 6-second video that you had on your slide?
And yeah, they're on YouTube bumper ads. So it's like a quick 6-second snippet. You don't have much time to say anything, but they do really well for our clients as part of our marketing that we do for them. And you just got to say one snippet and a logo and you got to go.
Yeah. Brian, how long should videos be?
Again, I would agree that it depends on the source and it depends on the type of content. If you're doing those About Me videos, you probably have more than a minute's worth of content to do. Being that we're focusing on 2 types of videos, specifically Q&A videos and video blogs, we always keep them under a minute. Longer than a minute for a Q&A video or a video blog is too long.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thanks everyone for attending. And to those of you watching this on YouTube, video, of course, video marketing, we'll be promoting it sometime in the future. Hey, hope everything's much safer and cleaner in 2021. So thank you both so much, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.